think a lot of people are afraid of the word God, but for me, it's a powerful word, and it equates to love and truth and, the goodness of your heart. And since, according to quantum physics, we know that we are all of the same force or energy, perhaps we came from a singular source, right? So I kind of look at consciousness from the Hermetic perspective. It just seems to make logical sense when you do some inner investigation. As above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. And so we look through the microcosm and the image in our eyes and our iris, and we see that reflected in the cosmos. So we understand that sacred geometry underlies everything. It's almost like a law of the universe, so which is so cool. We can look to how a fetus is formed in a mother's womb and how the cells split, right, in the sacred geometric fashion. Perhaps that's how the universe was formed, right, when consciousness had this initial desire to know itself. And so I've always, practiced meditation because I've wanted to understand. I wanted to seek deeper into what I truly am. And when you practice meditation, you come to discern that you are not a collection of thoughts about yourself. You are not a personality, right? You think, oh, I'm this. I wear this clothes and I go to this job and that's who I am. But these are just thoughts. You are not a collection of thoughts. You are a formless presence inhabiting a human body, having a human experience. Deeper you tread into meditation, you start to realize that what you think of yourself doesn't really exist, which is freeing, because then there's no death, right? There's only the death of the ego. There's only transition and movement of energy, which, can never really die. And so this is a freeing thing. It's not a scary thing to lose attachment to the ego. The ego is a necessary thing. It's a thing that inspires us and guides us and protects us through life, but we can become overly attached. And so we want to move into the spaciousness. And a good practice to start to begin to understand what God is, or understand what, spirituality is to simply just sit and witness yourself without stories and just start to feel your energy. And what lies beyond that? Is there perhaps an abiding presence that seems to always be there, which is loving, which is peaceful, which is truth? It's this abiding presence, this state, this eternal state that we all long to return home to. And we can become enlightened by simply becoming present. We can return home to God by disattaching from the mind and from the stories and from the human stories, that religion tries to put on us. We're all doing our best to explain this experience and explain the evolution of consciousness. But we have to remember that words are just symbols. They point us to a truth that we have to experience, right? Through witnessing. So I hope that helps you. Spirituality is different for everyone. And I think that at the end of the day, if we look to all religions, the answer is pretty plain. We're all one. Let's be kind to each other. We can use words like the soul, but there's no way to actually prove these things, right? There's no way to prove that there's a God, right? And we can give so much energy into things that they become real and they can visit us, right? This is a very standard magical practice. And when we're talking about gods and stuff in spirituality, they're aspects of the self because all is one. When we're thinking about astrology, these are aspects of our own consciousness. There's nothing strange or weird about wanting to know thyself. And so looking to religions, what is the most logical? For me, I've studied a lot, I've looked into a lot, and Buddhism has always kind of called to me because there's no God coming to save you. Your just senses, your perception. It doesn't require faith to practice meditation. It's a self-care practice. And these are the kind of things I teach. I teach self-love, and not love of the ego, love of the truth within you, love of your heart, so that inner flame begins to ignite. Beyond, the pain and suffering of this life, there is so much beauty. There is an unending beauty within you. So sit with yourself and move through the pain. Send yourself love and return to the heart. The heart is the sun within your body. People talk about Christ, people talk about God. That's where you find it within.